Okay, and we're back. All right, so Bobby, then you're talking about the Florida Open and then how you got into actually playing tournaments. And you said that was one of your downfalls. You didn't play enough tournaments when you were young.
Not like these kids today. I'll tell you what, I have a kid like Britton Harbison right now. Just sent me a text message yesterday. I'll show you. He just won another golf tournament. He shot 77. He's in the 9th grade.
Yeah.
And he's already won. And it's like he's playing in a tournament every weekend somewhere or something. They have so many kids' tournaments and everything.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And we got another little girl, Jessica Rathbone. I call her Spunky. She was in the 8th grade. She beats a girl on the Virginia Tech golf team in an extra holes.
Wow. Yeah.
After a tie. And she's only in the 8th grade. She beats a college girl.
Yeah.
You know, but they're playing in tournaments all the time. So
for you, when did you start playing tournaments?
Really, not until I went on to the European tour.
How'd you get on the European tour? What made you decide to go to Europe?
Well, that's... Here's another crazy story. You ever heard of Dick Farley?
No.
Swings the Thing golf schools?
Okay, yeah.
Right? Dick Farley, great guy. Great guy. Him and Rick McCord was his partner or something. Like, he used to have another a partner named Harry Obens.
Yeah.
Years ago. And they used to do a trick shot show together and stuff. But Dick Farley was hired by this company in Spain to find a golf pro that could speak Spanish.
Yeah.
To go over there, because the problem was the hotel called Nueva Andalucia was having trouble with the golf course, Nueva Andalucia, getting along and getting the players to play. See,
getting the people who were staying in the hotel to actually play the course.
Right.
Yeah.
So the guy's name was Fred Stratman, heck of a guy. We ended up being friends, and I got to meet him when he's there. He went to the real estate business. You know, he just wouldn't get along with the Spaniards, and he couldn't speak any Spanish. See, so Dick comes to Miami, and who does he have a cocktail with but the mayor? So the mayor...
The guy that you play golf with.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the mayor's son and I were close friends, Pete Clark. And we played all the time together. And he tells him, oh, you got to call Lopez. Lopez is the guy, you know. So he calls me up.
Starts talking about Spanish-speaking golf.
Right. He says, you got to talk to Lopez.
Yeah.
He's the guy. And at that time, I was 21 years old. I think I was an assistant pro at Fountain Blue Golf Course.
Okay.
And with Sal Monty and taking lessons under Bill Milhorn, Wild Bill Milhorn.
Yeah. Famous golf instructor.
Right, yeah. He used to, I can tell you stories about Wild Bill Milhorn. But anyway, he calls me up. He says, will you come over and meet me at the Four Ambassadors Hotel? And blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, yeah, sure, I'm coming. So I go there, and I sit there, and I meet him, and then as he's doing the interview, when he finishes, he says, well, you can speak Spanish, right? I says, yeah, with a name like Lopez, what do you think? He says, oh, yeah, I figured. And I didn't speak any Spanish.
Oh, you didn't?
I knew a few dirty words. All I knew was some dirty words. I didn't figure I'd ever get the job anyway.
Right, but you figure never say no. If he's I don't want to screw up the whole job.
Of course, you know, so I said, I'll
figure it out.
I'll put my neck out there and see what happens, see?
Yeah.
So I get a telex. Remember the old telex machines?
Okay, yeah.
I get a telex.
It's like a text message that just comes through at a certain place.
No, it has like a little ticker tape there.
Yeah, right.
I get the telex. It says, you've got the position. Get yourself a round-trip ticket. We'll reimburse you when you get there. So all my friends say...
To Spain.
To Spain.
Yeah.
They said, you're nuts, man. How are you going to go all the way to Spain? You don't know these people. How do you know they're going to reimburse your ticket? I said, look, I'm 21 years old. I'm broke. I'm an assistant pro. You know, not that it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
And at 21, you expect to be an assistant pro, but I had the money.
You go straight through here.
Yeah. So I bought the ticket, and I went. And the guy that hired me...
All right, yeah, left here.
Go ahead.
Actually.
Really?
Yeah, left.
The guy that hired... Well, we can get to 64 straight ahead, is that?
Yeah. Once you ride this parallel to it. I've done this before.
All right. So, the guy that hired me through Dick Farley was Juan Burgos. What was his name?
Is that the head pro at the resort?
No. Juan Burgos was the general manager of the hotel chain.
Hotel, yeah.
Well, he was out of town when I got there, and nobody knew I was coming. So here I show up with like $100 in my pocket, a round-trip ticket, And I get to the hotel that nobody knows I have a job there, and I don't speak the language. And I'm going, well, give me a key to a room. I don't care. So I don't know how I was going to pay the tab, but I ended up in a Spanish jail or something.
Yeah, right.
So I go to my room, and then I go over to the golf course.
So did you say, well, when are you expecting the manager? Or
I don't know.
They don't know.
So I go over to the golf course the next day. Oh, I know the first thing. I drank some of that Spanish coffee for the first time.
Okay. Yeah.
As tired as I was from that flight, I was laying in the bed looking at the ceiling, and I saw little elephants and giraffes.
Yeah, right. Puzzling. Yeah.
So anyway, I go to the golf course there, and the pro there was Sebastian Miguel, who finished 11th in the Masters.
Yeah.
One time. Great guy, and he's playing with this Prince, and I didn't know that he's playing with a Prince. I'm a dumb 21-year-old, brash, cocky Americano kid, right?
Yeah.
With white shoes and everything, and a white belt, and I come bleezing in there, and sure enough, I go. They have like a golf course secretary in Europe, and his name was Collado.
Yeah.
We ended up being great pals, but in the beginning, he's there, and I asked for him, and he sticks his head through the window, and there's the other guys, the starters and stuff that are working there. And I said, in my broken up little bit of Spanish that I knew, that I was the new golf pro from Nueva Andalucia. And he says back to me, he says, you may be the golf pro in Nueva Andalucia, but over here, you're not poop. He didn't use the word poop.
Yeah,
You're not doing ni mierda. And the guys started laughing. Because they hated this other guy, Stratman, see?
Yeah.
And I just looked at him and I went, if you're going to stick it in like that, why don't you use a little Vaseline next time? And he cracked up. And he just, come on in. And then I tried to explain to him that my grandfather was from Spain.
Yeah.
And then there was a Gallego. And then now, oh, okay, yeah, you're part of the family. So I go out from his office, and here comes Sebastian after 9 holes. With the Prince. And I introduced myself to him. Then I said, hey, you mind if I join you for the back nine? And you don't do that. But the Prince spoke perfect English. He says, yeah, come on with us.
Prince of what?
It was a Prince in Spain.
Oh, okay. Okay, when the Spanish world.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we went and played the back nine. And I got my arm around, Miguel and the Prince. And I'm doing all my BS that I can do, right?
Yeah, right.
And we get done, and the Prince invites me for a drink. And he says, you're going to work out great here because you got the human quality. That's what it needs.
Yeah.
So then I invited Sebastian and Collado, the golf course secretary, to bring their wives, come to the hotel. Best restaurant in the hotel. I ordered the tuna. The tuna, these guys that play the violin and stuff, they go around.
Yeah.
Best wine. Closed my eyes, I signed a tab.
Yeah.
The next night, I had the caddy master, the assistant pro, the starter, brought them over to the second best hotel. Got the same violin players, best wine, best food they had. Closed my eyes, I signed the tab. 2 days later, Burgos shows up. Burgos calls me to his office. He says, hey, Lopez, you don't speak Spanish. I said, I know, but I fixed your problem. He goes, how'd you do that? And I told him. He says, good job. Then the next day, he walks through the lobby past me, and he goes, everything you did must have worked because they think your shit warmed over, so just keep doing it. That was it.
Oh.
I just stayed there for 4 years. And
so you through socializing had turned that hotel's golf course into a social spot to be.
Well, the problem is Fred just didn't get along with, and you got to know how to get along with these people. You can't.
Yeah.
It isn't black and white.
Yeah, it's not like just accounting and numbers.
You got a group in the hotel that wants to tee off at 9 o'clock. They've got homeowners like John Connery lived right on the 4th hole.
Yeah.
And these people paid a lot of money, and they want to go play, and they don't want to have a bunch of American tourists around them. So I showed them different things. I said, look, let me tee them off on the back nine. Let all your guys go off on the front nine, and then when we make the turn, they're all gone, and they're going to have the whole golf course in front of them.
Yeah, it'll seem like a empty country club. Yeah.
Right. And work with them, and take them to dinner.
Oh, that's great. So then
they had the World Cup there in 1973.
At some point, you started going from being were you the head pro at that golf course?
I was the director of golf.
Oh, okay. So from the director of golf at that golf course, in what part of Spain?
Marbella.
Which is in the north? Or?
We go there or not?
No.
Yeah, Marbella's on the south of Spain.
Oh, okay, got you. So then at some point, were you playing well when you were playing there, and you decided to start to try to do European Tour tournaments, or?
Yeah, funny enough, it was Fred Stratman that helped me get.
So that's the manager of the hotels there.
A sponsor for tour. No, Fred Stratman was
A different
the
Fred.
guy that I replaced.
Oh, okay.
And there was a guy out of England that came down to visit, and Fred had told me that he should sponsor me on the road. He was also the backer for Bill Conti, a boxer.
Okay. Yeah.
And I got to go to I went up to England to see him and everything, and got to go to Albert Hall and see Boone Kirkman was fighting Joe Buckner.
So this Fred was a guest at the hotel who you became good friends with. And
No, Fred was the guy that used to be the director of golf.
I'm sorry. Yeah, this English guy. Yeah.
The English guy was just he just came as a guest, and he said, "Hey, I'd like to invest," because I played some golf with him, and he said, "I'd like to sponsor you on the road." Big mistake he made.
But the years you did play on the European tour, you got to meet some famous names when you were out there.
Well,
Is that right?
the neat part is the friendships you make. I guess there were so many, and there was no money in it back then.
Yeah.
So the guys that played is really because they really loved the game. But you had Simon Hobday, Manolo Pinheiro and I were good pals. And Manolo beat Danny Watkins in the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
At one time. Seve on Ballesteros, I roomed with him for about a month. His
And
brother Manolo,
right?
his mother Manolo was a really nice guy.
Is he still with us, the brother?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
And Angel Gallardo, Valentin Barrios, Jose Maria Cañizares.
Yeah. Canizares is the one whose son now is on the tour.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Jose Maria was a great guy. And he did real well on the senior tour here.
Yeah.
He said he made more money in 1 year on the senior tour here than he made in 20 years in Europe.
Yeah. Yeah. This is where the money is, golf-wise. So then after you had some decent finishes on the European tour, but never really.
Well, one of my
clicked.
biggest problems was, and it's my own fault. It's self-imposed. Is I like to have a good time, and I'm telling you, they'd say, "Is there a party going on?" I'd say, "I don't know. Find Lopez."
Yeah, right.
You see that guy walking around the hotel?
The party coordinator.
You see the guy in the lobby with the lampshade on his head? That's Lopez.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, I had a good time. Ooh, Sweden. Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, and I really should have concentrated, or somebody like Bernhard, who I used to play a lot with in Spain.
Yeah.
He used to come down to Spain to.
No, keep going for half a mile.
Because we better slow down.
Turn right on New Kent Highway. Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know.
And he used to come down with a guy named Klaus.
Okay. Another German guy, obviously.
And I used to think it was great because we were good for lunch. Because Klaus was the one that had the money, and we'd play for a few bucks. But at that time, Bernhard was only like 16.
Okay.
And I was around 22, so it wasn't fair to judge him back then. He turned out to be, look, I mean, I don't know that there's anybody better in conditioning, in his self-conditioning and discipline than Bernhard.
So at 16 on the European tour, Bernhard Langer wasn't like
he wasn't on
following you guys to the bars and.
No, he wasn't on the European tour at 16. I'm saying he used to come to Spain to practice.
Oh, okay, got you.
He went on later after I was already off.
Yeah, yeah.
But yes, Bernhard was not the kind of guy who's going to go out and party out like I was.
Yeah. And then, what was what's your favorite Seve story that you had from being around with Seve? I know you were telling me something the other day about arguments that you guys would have in golf swing theory and stuff.
Yeah, we would argue about, he was hinging it back with the right hand, and funny enough, I do that now.
Yep.
And I would shove it back with the left because that was the whole Nicklaus era and everything.
Yep.
And but the one funny thing that was...
So almost you were talking about like almost this extension right here, he'd let that lead it back.
Yeah, he'd hinge the right hand right off the bat.
Yep.
And the one thing that was funny that I never forgotten was... my son's name is similar to yours. It's Brandon.
Yeah.
And he was born in July during the week of the British Open. I was at the British Open, and my then wife was not pleased with me. Yeah. I said, well, I ain't going to miss this. But anyway, so
as a spectator.
No, I was there. I just didn't qualify. But anyway,
oh, okay, gotcha.
So the next tournament was Switzerland, and we were all there, you know, and they hadn't seen me that week, and all the Spanish players were all around in a circle, and they said, well, what'd you name him? What'd you name him? And I went, Brandon, and all at the same time they all went, ¿Qué? I mean, what? Yeah. I said, Brandon. They go, why didn't you name him Jose Maria, Panchito? Yeah, what's the matter with you? And they were all pissed at me for naming him an Irish name.
Yeah.
Because back then, the English players and the Spanish players didn't like each other.
Yeah, I can see that.
They didn't get along. That's since changed, but I mean, they hated each other.
Yes.
So
my grandmother said the same. She didn't like Irish people, and my grandmother said the same thing. Why'd you name him Brandon? We're not Irish. Why'd you do that, Brendan? So all right, cool. So then I just can't imagine. That's what I always think. Like, especially now that it's changed and you can't just Q school directly onto the PGA Tour. A lot of these great players, Peter Uihlein and Brooks Koepka, and a lot of like the really good college players are going to the European Tour first. And that just seems like, even though you won't make as much money, but the points that you earn are similar, and the experience you get is like you were just saying, like you would 1 week in Scotland, then the next week in Switzerland, then you might be in Spain, and you might be. It's just like, I can't imagine how awesome that would be.
Are you kidding me? And today you got the euro.
Yeah.
You think back in my day, I was paying child support in like 4 different currencies.
Right.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
But like seeing all these historic places and the scenery, I mean, it would be if you were paying to do a group trip like that, you know, like seniors take, it would be hundreds of thousands of dollars to see all these places.
Oh, it's fun. And the Australian guys seem to hit it further than anybody.
Yeah.
And they did. I mean, we had this one guy. I can't remember his name, but he'd have a drink in each hand when he got on the plane.
Yeah.
And he'd sit all the way in the back of the plane. Because we'd have practically a whole plane full of golf pros from country to country.
Yeah.
And as soon as the plane would start to get on the runway and get ready to take off, he could make this Model T Ford sound. I mean, perfect. He would go, ooh, like that. And we would crack up.
Like something was going on.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, and they were fun. And there wasn't as much pressure and stuff because
At
first
point,
prize
you know
was like $5,000.
At this point, you know where you're going.
I know where I'm going.
All right, cool. All right, yeah, was it? Yeah, right. So it's like, yeah, $5,000 for winning. So
yeah, I mean, you know, Arnold Palmer would come over like the La Manga.
Yeah.
To play in the Spanish Tour. Why? Because Gary Player built that golf course.
So just as a personal favor.
So then Arnold Palmer would build a golf course somewhere else. Gary Player would go to that tournament.
Yeah.
And they were really planting seeds for golf tournaments. They weren't there to win the $5,000.
Yeah.
But I got to say something about Arnie. He won that tournament that week. I remember we were done playing, and I was back behind the green with Seve, his brother, Simon Hobday. 4 of us was standing there. And here comes Arnie up number 18, and he's a shot back. It's a par 5.
1973 or so?
Yeah, I don't know, probably 74.
Okay.
And he was a shot back. It's a par 5, reachable if you can cut the corner over the water. It was water on the left. Arnie gets up there, and all of a sudden we see this ball landing in the fairway bouncing. And we hear this ooh from a bunch of people. Sure enough, we know it was Arnie, because we couldn't see it from there, right?
The only one with a crowd like that, and yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he comes up there and he hits an iron. I don't know if he hit 5 or 4 iron or something. Knocks it up on the green about 12 feet from the hole, rolls it in for eagle, wins it by a shot. And Simon Hobday looks over to us and he goes, "That's why Arnold Palmer's Arnold Palmer."
Yeah. You can just come there, relax, not really trying to win, but then just like turn it on.
Then there was another one that was a lot of fun from Italy, Roberto Bernardini.
Okay.
He was a riot. There were some players from France, but they weren't very good back then.
Now, if you were gonna be in some strange time machine and give your 22-year-old self a golf lesson, technically and mentally, what do you think you would tell yourself?
I think you got to,
when you think about your swing back then and your game,
you got to stay away from being overly technical, I think. And that's the only thing that scares me a little bit, especially all this stuff online now that I never, because I didn't expect to have all these responses I've had online. And, you know, you've been an unbelievable contributor. Plus, I guess it's the thing that's going on. Like, people go around YouTube, they're going to watch this, they're going to watch that. This guy said do this guy said turn your hips, this guy turn your feet. You go nuts.
But even back then, before video and before stuff like that, there were guys, maybe yourself included, that would get too technical as well.
Absolutely. The problem is, where I see it, is that too many of the golf instructors, whether it be Wild Bill Melhorn all the way back in 1970, they fall in love with their method.
Style, yeah.
You know? The way I'm doing it is the only way to do it.
Yeah.
I heard that from Chico Miartas. I heard that from Bob Toski. I heard that from Wild Bill Melhorn. Heard that from... There was another one that was Henry Cotton. Ever heard of him?
Yeah, when he would hit the tire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would make you hit the tire with your hand. Yeah. John Jacobs. Not the player. There's this big guy, John Jacobs.
Yeah, John Jacobs Golf Schools.
Right. But not... Yeah, him. That John Jacobs. Took lessons with him. But there's another John Jacobs that played on the senior tour here and played in Europe.
Okay.
When I was there, and he was a moose. He could kill it. He hit it so far, it was unreal. And he was a party hound.
And he had a style that he said was the end all be all.
Everybody's got their, they fall in love with their style. And the problem is, if you look at Lee Trevino and you look at Jack Nicklaus, you can't find two swings that are more diametrically opposed.
Right. Yeah.
So who's right? The trick is, when I look at a golf swing, I look at it like an insurance underwriter.
Yeah.
I say, could this guy, he wants to buy some swing insurance, could he hit in somebody's yard, break their window, and I end up paying for it?
Right.
So I'm looking for risk in the swing. Say, you see that thing you do right there? Oh, I don't know. You might not get away with that.
Yeah.
See how you're moving in front of the ball? You're going to bail some shots out to the right. I'm telling you, better stay behind it.
Yeah.
If I looked at Jim Furyk, the first one I'd look at, if it was down line, I'd go, oh, Maron, do that again. All right, go ahead, do it again. And then if I put a line down his spine angle and I see how his spine revolves perfectly and doesn't move up and doesn't move down, I check the box. Okay, you got insurance, no problem.
Yeah.
The rest of that arm movement is a distraction.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
But you're able to do it again and again, so.
Well, look, you look at the machine, the Iron Byron, whatever.
Yeah.
You got a 90-degree relationship with the spine and the path of the golf club.
Yeah.
Right? Why is it so consistent? It doesn't move. So when you look at Jim Furyk and you look at his spine stays right on the money the whole time.
Yeah.
There you go.
So back to like your game and what. So do you think you were too technical back then, or what do you think?
Well, I think I got my little stuff a little bit garbled up with, Chico said you should do this.
Flip flopping. Yeah.
And then like for instance, one thing I used to do with Bill Melhorn, he used to get this belt. I used to call it the Jackie Gleason belt. It was humongous.
Yeah.
And he punched a bunch of holes in it, see? And this was a belt, a leather belt.
Yeah.
And he would strap you up like this. And I mean, you couldn't move your elbows from your body.
Yeah.
And you had to hit balls that way, see?
Yeah.
And on the first tee, because I knew he could see me, I would swing the way he wants me to swing. By the time I got to number 2, that's the end of that.
Yeah, right. I should have scored at this point, yeah.
I got to swing my home with this crazy old man. What is he doing?
Right.
And not that what he does doesn't have merit, and not that I haven't included some of it in what I do to certain people, that I think it actually will help them.
Yeah.
You got to look at, there's so many different kinds of swings out there, and you got to say, what is it that's going to help this guy?
Yeah.
Which is why it's hard to just give a tip. Which is why I always say, send me a video. I won't charge you a thing. Let me see it. So at least I give you the right medication.
Yep.
Because I get emails from guys. They say, well, I'm doing this and I'm hitting it fat. What do you think? What do you suggest?
Just in the words, yeah.
Yeah, just when I say, I suggest you send me a video so I can see it, because I can't, any number of reasons it could be happening, and I don't want to take the wrong thing.
Right. But percentage-wise, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later today, but percentage-wise, how many people, percentage-wise, do you think are not going fast enough with the hands from the top, or need to get this swinging out more?
Huge,
like in the 90s.
And I tell you what, I think I finally thought of a way to describe this, and it's actually starting to work for people. I tell them, I say, look, if Sergio's right, and he said, my dad told me to pull down a chain with both hands. Yeah. Davis Love III, my dad told me to pound a stake in the ground. Al Geinberg, I feel like a ring in the bell. All those guys are describing a downward motion with their arms. Yeah. Right? It had to go up in the first place. And the problem is, people take their golf swing around themselves on the backswing. They're trying to coil and they go around. Yeah. From there, you can't bring down the arms first. You can't do it. Yeah, because you've set, when you go around, this is basically in that stuck or behind you position. Exactly. Now. Yeah. Exactly. But if you go like this, it's a lift. And Melhorn talks about that. There's a site on internet, on Google, if you put Bill Melhorn, M-E-H-L-H-O-R-N, but you'll get it anyway, even if you spell it wrong. And you look at one of the videos of Bobby Shave, no real well, great guy, but he's like a fanatic on the Bill Melhorn method. He talks about how Melhorn went to see this guy that won the U.S. Open, and he saw the guy had a backswing, but he just lifted the club straight up, turned, and then hit it. Yeah. And he said, the guy's got it right. It's a lift. It's not a turn, it's a lift. It's a turn in the body, but a lift in the arms. Yeah, yeah. So you think a lot of people, when they just have this idea of, okay, I want to take it away, and they just spin, and they try to spin, and then that's where a lot of inconsistency. You can't the club doesn't go around, it goes up and down. Right. And that can destroy their sequence. Well, the problem is, once you get your head even with the ball on the downswing, which is what I see a lot of, you're toast. Yeah. You might still hit a good shot because you just flail with the hands real hard and somehow square the club up at the last second. It'd be like you got a fastball coming at you and you're late and you try and just get the bat on it somehow. Right, right. And you might still get a hit, but you've got to keep that left shoulder even with the ball. And I mean, you can look at Hogan, you can look at Snead, you can look at any of them. I've looked at all those videos. They all have their left shoulder even with the ball at impact. Yep. All of them. So this probably explained better on the range, but what's the connection between getting off sides and getting out of sequence? Like getting the body going too hard and too spinny with the hands trailing and getting off sides. But sometimes it's not just spinning, it's just a surge. Okay. They hear from somebody, I got to transfer my weight. Right. You're going to transfer your weight to your left foot, or I'll hear a lot of this. So you got to trap the ball with your chest. Yeah. Well, how are you going to trap the ball with your chest? You trap the ball with your hands. Club in, hook to your chest, and once your chest gets even with the ball, where's your left arm going to be? Ahead of the ball. Yeah. Okay, guys, we're getting pretty close to our destination, right? Is that right? Yep, we're getting there. We're getting there. So we'll pause this and then we'll restart for a little wrap up.